My brother's talking about sharks earlier today, and that's the only thing I'm worried about right now. Maybe falling on my face on the board, but that's gonna happen, no doubt. But I think it's gonna be an awesome experience, hopefully. And Frank's here with me to experience it too.
Hey.
So day number 1 is going good, so for now.
Fabulous. So, but like I said, it's a documentary, and if you weren't nervous, it would be really strange. So,
surfing's incredibly scary. Almost every time I surf, I think I'm going to die.
Not sure what my biggest fear is in surfing, because it's definitely holding me back, whatever it is. I don't mind wiping out. I've done that, and I've done okay. There are obviously far worse wipeouts, so I wouldn't be here talking to you. But I think that sometimes I worry about sharks, but hardly ever. I worry about not being able to get back to the shore. I think that's my biggest fear, not being able to get myself back to the shore.
I'm nervous. You see, like all these people, one of the surfboards might hit me in the face. And look, I was watching them. They're like crashing into each other, and I'm probably gonna be the one crashing. So I'm nervous.
yeah.
It's already in front of my face. No, I'm like self-conscious.
Anyway, don't worry, they'll be moving soon.
Oh, I know.
Anybody who's freezing right now, you won't be for long. You will be moving. You'll definitely be moving. I'm wearing this swimsuit, but I do want to take
Anybody who goes into that water and doesn't realize the power of it and that you have no control over it, you have to have fear. You have to, because maybe fear is the wrong word, but I don't think anybody really goes in there without an understanding that you're in a power that's way bigger than you can ever control, and that there are some times when you just shouldn't go in. And I'm really careful now. I had a scary incident once, so I think that's one of the reasons that that's what I fear, which is why I don't surf at Ocean Beach any longer. And the way that I always used to surf is I didn't belong to the women's group I belong to now, and I always went out by myself. And I went out on a day when the tide was going out, but I didn't know enough about the water to think about that. But it meant that it was really easy for me to get out past the breakers. And usually that's what I always did, is get out past the breakers and then sort of sit on my board and decide, what things look like and what I wanted to do. And by the time I got past the breakers, I realized that they were much bigger than I really wanted to have to surf in, but the only way you can get back is to surf them in. And especially because the tide was going out, there was no way I could even just paddle myself in. I had to take a wave, and I was really exhausted because I'd been surfing the day before and I wasn't in good shape. And I finally decided I was going to have to ask for help. And I didn't know anybody around me, but I just said to this guy, I think I might need help. And he kind of looked at me very shocked, and he said, "You're kidding." And I said, "Well, I'm kind of not. I'm pretty scared and I'm pretty tired." And he said, "Well, I can tow you in." And I said that seemed really dangerous and scary to me, like for him and for me. It just didn't seem like a good idea, and I wanted to be able to not involve somebody else. And he said to me, "Just take the gnarliest thing out there and it'll take you in." And I said, "I'm scared." And he said, "We all are." Recovered as I knew I never wanted to go out in the water when the tide's going out, so I never do, except for another terrible incident, but that was without my board, and that was at Lindemar, and it was just pure stupidity. But at any rate, I don't go out when the tide's going out, and I don't go to Ocean Beach. It's just I'm not good enough for it. So.
My name's Matt Call. I'm owner and chief instructor for the University of Surfing. I've been teaching down here for about 10 years, but teaching board sports my entire life.
Why surfing?
I started as a surfer, but I switched to skateboarding when I got sponsored when I was about 18 or 19, and I got really hurt skateboarding and snowboarding. Surfing because, number one, it's more fun, but mainly the reason I got back into it is because it's safer.
Surfing is one of the safest sport. How do you feel about
Interesting. Well, you know, I don't quite know how to respond to that because I've never been a big sports person. I did, before I got sick, I ran. And that's really the only other sport I'd ever done besides surfing. I'm surprised a little bit because I know that the connotation is not safety. The first thought anybody has is not safety. But back to what I was saying before, I think that it's kind of something out of the ordinary if you get really hurt. And mind you, having said that, I had a coworker 2 years ago who surfed in Southern California, and she got hit with the fin of her surfboard and gashed her leg and was horribly injured. So, you know, I'm not really sure how to respond. I think it's awful that it happened to her, and I'm certain she's not alone in that. And when I got hit in the face twice, I was real lucky I didn't break my nose.
There are three things that are going to hurt you. The bottom, your board, or somebody else's board. So don't get buddy-buddy and get too close to others. Because that's not good.
Nothing's really happening.
Yeah, doesn't really crack
Never go in without my booties, which I'll tell you why. I'm afraid of touching a jellyfish or something, or even kelp, which might sound really weird because obviously if you go out in the ocean, you're gonna touch those things, but I really don't want to, you know, I don't want to feel them. So I try to focus on surfing rather than what's in the water. And I think when you were out last time, there was a lot of kelp in the water. And I hated that. I mean, it's like, oh God, it's everywhere, get it away. And I didn't have my gloves on. But more, you know, the unknown of sharks, I don't think about very often.
To figure out that Northern California wasn't as cold as I thought, or at least the wetsuits are a lot better, and that I wasn't going to get eaten by sharks. And when I drive here, I don't. You know, I'm driving here and I don't get nervous, but yet every year 1 million people die in car crashes, and 2 people die from sharks.
Any thoughts?
Any thoughts? Thinking about sharks?
Any regrets if that happens?
There aren't any sharks out there.
Any regrets if that happens?
The only thing I'm really worried about is just running into people and getting hurt. That's it. Falling, I'm used to it. Balancing, that's another thing. Never seen myself balance on a board for more than 10 seconds. And then I might jump off.
Yeah.